us a little bit of a slice into that time in America's recent history and a compelling story. And now I'd like to invite up the man, the myth, the legend, producer, writer, director, Mr. Michael Domino. Come on, Mike. Next, I would like to invite up co-writer, co-producer, acclaimed author himself, Mr. Mladinich. Next is a man who has a vital role in any film, man or woman, in this case it's a man, and that's a cinematographer, who actually is responsible for not only carrying out the director's vision, but also deciding on all the camera angles, all the shots, and particularly how to create a period piece. Ladies and gentlemen, Mr. Jesse Wakeman. And now I'd like to bring up Jake Cutter himself, actor David Olson.
I'm busy here.
David Cutter, David Olson. And next is a very talented young actor who I'm sure has a big career in front of him. I'd like to bring up the part played by Michael himself, Mr. Travis Kerr, ladies and gentlemen. Travis Kerr. All right, here we go. All right, so we'll begin the question and answer. Just to get the ball rolling, I'll start with probably the question that begs to be asked, and that is to Michael first. Michael, why did you feel it was so important to tell this story?
Thank you, Mike. Before I start on the answer to the question, I'd like to just introduce someone. In our presence, we have a real-life manufacturing man. He's 90 years old. My father, George Domino. Manufacturing man. Thank you. And I'd like to say thank you to my lovely wife, Betty, who's sitting right there. Special thanks to each and every one of you who came here tonight to enjoy our movie. Thanks very much. Thank you. The Expediter is, at its core, a coming-of-age story. And all of us throughout our lives, we have these moments in time which are more profound than other moments. And I look back at the summer of 1975 as one of these defining moments in my life. I look at life is about people that we come in contact with, and it's like waves. People come through us in many different shapes and forms, and some of these people we choose to keep with us. And that time, and those people, in particular, Jake Cutter, is a person that I chose to keep in my life. And as I grew up into adulthood, many times I would refer to some of the experiences that I had in coming of age along with him. And I think I'm a much better person. Yes, he had some bad habits, but he was a good influence. And it was up to me as a young man to choose what parts of his character I would take with me, and those parts I would leave behind. And I think these are decisions we all have to make. And we're always coming of age. I'm coming of age right now at this moment. I believe, everyone is. So this was very important to us that we explain that part of life and story through the eyes of young Michael, who really had a bird's eye view, in my opinion, of that time and of these people. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Next question, then we'll let you guys in. But Bob, you're not only the co-producer and co-writer, but a longtime friend of Michael. In fact, you're childhood friends growing up on Long Island. I know personally that if it wasn't your influence, this story may not have ever made it to film, as you encouraged Mike to tell this story. So what was it that you felt was so important about this story make it to the screen, please?
I remember this story in 1975. I remember that summer and Mike coming home with these wild stories about this crazy World War II veteran and all the drinking and all the carrying on. And, years later, Mike started to really enjoy writing. And he wrote a lot of short stories, and he would show them to me. And when I read that one, I was completely blown away. It was just so powerful. And what Jack represents, he's a very flawed person. And as a writer myself, flawed people are the most interesting people. I don't embrace people's perfections. As a writer, I like to embrace their flaws. And in all those flaws, Jack represented not just a war-weary World War II veteran, an alcoholic, and a womanizer, but he also represented the decline of American manufacturing, especially in big cities like New York, the introduction of multiculturalism into the workplace, and his fear of outsiders, which were not necessarily rooted in prejudice or racism, but it's easy to understand that looking back now. And that's why I think it was so important for that story to be told through the eyes of a naive 18-year-old that really got a bird's eye view on a world that was going away and the world that we were entering at that time.
Thank you very much. I saw Jesse very briefly in the lobby, and the last time I saw him was the first week in September when we just started shooting some of those office scenes. So a lot has happened in the last 6 months. And as the cinematographer, the person with responsibility, as I said, of carrying out the director's vision, maintaining a period look in the film, and making decisions. In that process, share with us some of the most challenging aspects of it and some of the most rewarding now that this film is complete.
All right. Well, it was amazing working with this gang here. They're the sweetest film crew to work on, folks up here and everyone else that came too. And yeah, I mean, we got shooting back in Blacksall. That was all that footage in the office. That was like a real functioning factory still. And that was kind of amazing to get to shoot there and just that location, what that looked like, to use those visuals, and those old wood, those old, chairs, the factory itself. So that was like fun visually to do. And then, yeah, I mean, just getting to play around with the bar scenes and sort of how to create chaos and, sort of crazy situations of the kind of a limited scope and, small budget. We did this all independently. Yeah, so it was, I mean, it was great. We didn't really run into any kind of crazy problems just because, I don't know, Mike somehow always had the answer. You just kind of we'll make it work. And we just always make it work. So it was so nice.
Thank you very much.
One thing that Mike said, every time we ran into a little logistical problem, don't worry, Jake is watching. Jake's got our back. And we always came up with a solution.
True. I would add also, the other thing that Mike would say frequently is, let's have fun. Let's have fun. In fact, recently he said, if you can't have fun making a movie, you'll never have fun. Okay, before we get to the actors, I think we're going to turn it over to you guys. So, I don't know if we have Roman mics, it doesn't look like it, so speak up. Who has the first question? And please let us know who the question is for, and then ask your question. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. My question is for Mike, and it's sort of two questions. So
You know, the movie was terrific. I think you all did a great job, so thank you all very much. It was great. But you know, I found it fascinating halfway through when, you know, you went against Jake. What gave you the courage? I know it started with the young woman, but then you didn't want to go to New York. You didn't want to go in the bar. It seems like you were very upset with him and angry. I'm not sure where that came from, if it all stemmed from the young girl. That's the first question. And the second would be, did this business shape who you are today in the plastic business? Is that how you came about it?
Well, good question, Jay. Thanks for asking them. Yes, that's, the first one is excellent because it really gets to the essence of the coming of age story, where young Michael enters this world, he's confused. We allude to the fact that he had problems in life, legal troubles, and so he was coming out of high school, had no direction whatsoever, and now he is put under the wing of this man, as well as his own family, his father, busy executive, a great businessman, but he received different kind of training. Perhaps at that point in life, he actually needed this Marine Corps discipline. And so what you witnessed in viewing the film was him getting strength. And through the eye, observing Jake Cutter, and also how he's functioning, and see how the world operates at large. You know, he gained strength to the point where, yes, as he got stronger, Jake he was already formed. You know, he really wasn't going to change. But Michael was forming it. And so that's what you saw, and I'm so glad that you saw that, because that was a big challenge that we wanted that to be seen. So yes, it got to the point Michael kept getting stronger and stronger, and yes, he was confused about this older man and this younger woman, and you know, even though that's, you know, a fact of life, it wasn't a fact of his life. So he was dropped into this, I refer to as the world of men and women, manufacturing men and women. It was you know, a shock to him. It was like the other side of Mars compared to it. But he did adapt, he overcame, he became like a little Marine, and he got stronger as time went on. The second question, yes, for sure. The lessons I learned in that summer and other summers working there and other jobs I had, yes, gave me strength and wisdom, and these are my teachers, these are my mentors. You know, it wasn't a formal education, it was a lifetime lesson, a life story. So, yeah, I mean, at times of challenge, I'll even say, are you a sharp or a minnow? You know, sometimes I'm a minnow, but I like to think that on the nice occasion, that Jay Cutter would say, and I like to come out as a sharp.
Now, let me just add something to that, Jack. That shows, Mike showed his moral fiber, his moral compass. It came to him at that moment, when he saw that woman being, in his eyes, exploited, and that's the moment he became the sharp that he is today, and it stayed when it was.
Yeah, actually, Jake was referred to Jake Cutter, and interesting because I got to spend a couple of days with David Olson, who's actually a total gentleman, refined man, a real pleasure. And so, David, I would ask you, given what your true nature is, what did you find most challenging about portraying such a gritty character?
Well, thank you. I do reading your own, and I went to work for the IBM company in manufacturing. I like it better than after work, so it kind of works. It's fun to work.
Okay, thank you. Well, that's one more for the young Michael, and we'll open up again to the floor. So, so share with us what it was like. I mean, I was there at the beginning and saw how you sort of had that bright-eyed, deer in headlights look when you started, and there was the scene that we just spoke about, where you sort of found your strength as a character. So what was it like to actually play that part and other parts throughout the movie?
Well, it was an absolute pleasure working with all these guys. They're very talented. It really didn't feel like work. It felt like what I want to do the rest of my life. So it was just an absolute blast. In terms of getting into the character, I definitely thought about my own life and thought about when I was 18, what I was thinking about and how I acted, and I tried to sort of relive those kind of moments. I would say, one of the most challenging parts was the driving scene, actually, because I don't actually have a license. So it was kind of a big risk on their part. I was, we almost crashed 2 times, so it was a little bit risky. But overall though, it was just a blast. I really enjoyed reading the script. I liked the characters a lot. I thought it showed some good development. And definitely, they definitely walking through it. There's some scenes that we have to do 50 takes to get it right. So, the support that they gave me really propelled me into the role, and it's very vital. But overall, at the end of the day,
Okay, thank you very much. It was just touched on about tapes. Now, a lot of people here have been around this business, but for a novice like myself, we take for granted you see a television show or a movie, there's 2 people having a conversation. That is a minimum of 3 takes, minimum. So they take a wide-angle shot of 2 people speaking, then they shoot that scene again with just one of the people, and they shoot that scene a 3rd time with the other person, and then it's done through editing to put together the whole conversation. Now, Jesse was very effective because he actually wanted to do the scenes, even if they were good takes, with different emotions, different body language, just to have different material to work with when he would cut the film. So just witnessing that, you take it for granted, you see 2 people talking on camera. There's a lot of work behind the scenes on that to eventually present what you see. So just that item alone, that's if everything goes well. If it doesn't go well, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 takes, and so forth. Okay, we're going to look for the next question, but also, George, we're going to ask you to come up and join us up front, because some might have questions for you as well. I know that we're prepared for that, but we'd love to have you come up. Ladies and gentlemen, George and Kate Page. Okay, thanks. All right, next question for any of the folks up front. We have a question right here. Hey, Mike's daughter.
I definitely heard some lines in there that were your voice. But I'm now wondering if they came inspired by Jake Cutter. Yeah. Like, Goo money. And get me this Ricky Tick. Definitely heard those throughout my childhood. Stand out. So.
Julianne, absolutely. Yes, we're hearing another human being speaking through me. However, I did take extra lengths before I began to put pen to paper on this job. I locked myself in that room in the basement. We lived 30 Constant Circle, and I studied Marine Corps slang for 2 days. So it became part of my vocabulary, so I could write this with ease. So, yes, sit down.
Thank you. Next question, whomever. We have a question in the back, right there. Just speak up, please.
Wonderful, wonderful film. And I wonder because it was based on you, it was a difficult task. You did such a marvelous job. Did you look at it differently, or was it more of a challenge, less of a challenge, since they were real people?
That's a great question. And yes, because I knew these people intimately, as the auditions were taking place, they would walk through, and I had a distinct idea of the person that we needed for this. Although we did have an open mind, and some of the people we did select were a little bit different, a lot different in some cases, based on reality. But Jake Cutter, when he walked in, I was like, I hope this guy has a good voice. He can play the part of Marine he looked like the real deal. So yeah, that was good. And Travis, he came on set and he sort of looked the part and he had the right mannerisms. He did go through the audition process, and we knew once again there's something inside of us that knew when we had the right people. So yes, we were looking for people. They didn't have to look exactly like the people, but they had to give off the right vibe. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Oh, yeah, Bob.
You know, one thing about the audition with Travis that was so wonderful, you know, as young as he is, he was reading some kind of dated material, and he was actually chuckling. There's a lot of the stuff that you auditioned with didn't make it into the film, but it's some really funny stuff. And he got it. He got it, you know, as young as he is, he got the 70s George really well. And he was chuckling throughout. And we said, that's our guy.
Next question. Yes,
How long did the whole, filming, how long did it take?
who would like to answer that? Jesse?
I think it was about 8 shooting days. Right? Yeah.
Over the course of,
Oh, yeah, and then we reshot in September, yeah, did for a day. Yeah, and then we did a little Super 8 at the end, you saw at the beginning. So, yeah, I guess we 10 total. And then a couple months of editing, and put it together.
okay,
By the way, I just want to add that Jesse has his own movie out. It's
Yes.
actually playing in New York City right now. It's called Domino Pride. He's the actor, he's the main actor, star actor, and very intimately involved in creating it. You know, that this went on for, like, it was a years-long process. When I saw it the other night, it's a wonderful movie. Jesse did such a great job. I mean, he has such a creative eye. The things he did with the camera, it's just amazing. You know, I love the close-up shots. You know, they're very dramatic. He really understands the whole process, from acting to directing, cinematography, just setting up shots. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Jesse's movie is playing currently just a couple of blocks from here at the Village Cinema on 2nd Avenue and 12th Street. It's called Donald Cry, and he's the guy that makes Donald cry.
yes, question 4. For Jesse.
It was a Sony A7S. So, yeah, a little like, any high def, and I was using a few different lenses. And, yeah, I had a little rig, but it was pretty simple.
So for those of us not in the biz, that's basically a handheld camera with a mount, right? And Jesse is following all those scenes behind. He has to be in good shape too, so watch this happen. So handheld camera the whole time. Thank you. Right there, sir.
When you're editing, to what extent are you frustrated because you know what scenes you want to cut or don't know what you have a vision going in? So is it a pleasurable experience? Is it more of frustration? How does that work in your mind? Because you have a script, you have your own ideas, and also what percentage of film is not used? When you call everything out in the culling process, are you frustrated or are you fascinated or are you enjoying it?
It's a great question. Well, we shot like, 8 fairly full days. So, I mean, this was kind of cut down to 40 minutes. So you can kind of see it. I mean, that's typical. That's how, it works. So you're going through footage. I mean, I'm more used to cutting like documentary style footage. So, I mean, in actual doc footage, you still capture out in the world. And then you're sort of trying to find the story within that. That is difficult to, but so for me, actually, it's like having Mike's script, which was really clear. Mike and Bob's script. It was like, it was all there. So we kind of knew what I was going for. So yeah, cutting like a fiction narrative like this was easier. And yeah, no, not much frustration. It's just an interesting process, you know, because Bob and Mike would just come to my studio and I'd be like, all right, here's the latest cut, you know, go easy on it. What do you think? And we just kind of go through it. We just kind of, you know, this, I don't like this, it's worked out, and they would really hone it down and find stuff that they liked. And yeah, it was a collaborative process. That's why I said, I mean, it's like, you know, it gets testy, it gets hot on film sets, and like working with these guys, it's unbelievable. It's really nice.
Thank you, thank you. Georgia, we brought you up here, so I want to ask you a question. I know that you have a great friendship with Michael as well. So just share with us something that you took away from playing your wonderful part, Gigi LaRue, in the film. Thank you.
Funny story, because yeah, Mike and I worked together, years ago. Because as you know, he's a writer and wrote wonderful poetry. I answered an ad, he was looking for people to look at his poetry music, and I'm a singer as well. So I think that's how we met. I answered your ad, my songwriting partner and I wrote to quite a few of the tunes, which I'm still very proud of them. They're great tunes, and the lyrics are amazing. And then when you told me we're making this film, we met up and chatted about that, and said you might be a role for me. I remember sending him an audition tape as a sort of a Jean Jacques character from my old apartment, so I know when that was. It would have been pre-2011, so we were talking about it that. And finally, yeah, I was on the road and doing this and that, and he said, hey, can you come and shoot this? And this is interesting, someone who asked how long the shoot took. I was only on set for one day, in fact about an hour and a half, and all my footage done. I rushed from the city in a cab, where I had a meeting that had run late, and I was stressed, and I got there to the bar in Queens, shot the stuff. Jesse was super patient, so he was a little stressed by me going, I have to go, I have a show tonight, I have an 8 o'clock curtain. We shot all my stuff, yeah, in about an hour. The hair and makeup and everything in that time. So what did I take away? Great group of people to work with. Shows what you can do with, as you said, like a micro budget and a time crunch. You can really do a lot. And yeah, I love the way you know Mike's writing. I've always read all his stories, short stories, and poems. So it's much respect for your writing.
Thank you very much. Yes, sir. The question, who is it directed towards? Okay.
I'm wondering if we might, actually, 2 parts to this question. Would there be a sequel to this? Or do you feel you're finished with this material and is on to something else? And if so, what might that something like?
I think that there's a lot of, there could definitely be a sequel here. This very easily could have been an hour and a half or 2 hour movie. There is so much material that we were not able to use because of time and budget constraints.
By the way, that was one of my speaking points. Thank you very much.
He fell victim to that himself. But there is so much more to this story. As much as it is a coming-of-age story about Michael Domino, Michael Roman, it's also a story about a guy like Jay Cutter. It's very easy to just look at that as sort of a joke. America was built on the backs of people like that. That man fought for 4 years in World War II. He saw one battle after another. He was not a good family man. He had a lot of issues with womanizing and drinking, but there was a reason for that. And he was a good worker. He was a productive worker. That's where he got his pride. That's where, regardless, there was some very bad things probably happened at home. I'm sure he wasn't the best father. But from a manufacturing standpoint, from a work ethic standpoint, he was a very good role model. There's so much more material here that didn't make it.
Okay, thank you.
The second part of that question, we would love to do this again. We're actually, no, this is a great world to spin in. And obviously we have to go through everyone on the stage here, and we're thinking about a story I wrote 2 years ago, called Park Avenue, the Park Bench. But right now, we just want to keep our focus on the Expediter, see what happens post-screening, just like take on life of its own. But we really like nothing better than make more films. Thank you.
Center back, right there, sir.
Why this film struck a responsive chord.
Please.
Reminded me somewhat of a wonderful film, I went back to musical, The Summer of 42, which one of the themes is in every boy's life is the summer of 42. And the night I was in 1975, I had one in 1957, because life defines a series of highs and lows. People have their lives, touch us and move on, and that's the way it has to be. That at first hello is the beginning of the last goodbye. And you cannot avoid that. And I think that is why this film is so tender, and other than the fact that Jake was obviously suffering from PTSD, which was something that is a horrible problem for countries of all wars and all times. So I commend all of you for a wonderful job.
Well said, thank you very much. Other questions, please feel free. Right here, sir.
A wonderful film, thank you so much. What I really liked very much about it, there was so little. You don't see films like that anymore. And so you will excuse me if I ask the question to the person who wrote the film rather than the producer, director. That it's about a character that does not appear in the film, but is mentioned many times, and that's Mike's father. I kept asking, what kind of father sends a son to be an apprentice for a Jake? How well did he know him? And I kept wondering about the father all the time. I love the movie, of course, but I'm just wondering if you have any conception of the father.
Well, he's dead. Dad, would you care to ask that question?
Teaching him a lesson.
Jay heard it from his mouth, but from my mouth, a great father. Because he was willing to go out on a limb and put him in the belly of the beast. And sink or swim, tough love. That's the answer in a nutshell. Tough love. And there you have it.
But did he know Jake?
Yes, very well. Yeah. They were buddies. They depended on each other for running this tremendous factory. 400 people worked there.
I don't think it was any coincidence that he put them together with you.
Yeah, it was a wonderful experience. I'm so glad he did it.
Thank you.
Very often, the greatest of lessons comes from the unlikeliest of mentors. This is a perfect example of that.
Well said. In the back, yes. Did everyone hear the question? 1975 was a time of sex, drugs, rock and roll. How did you not get caught up in that?
Oh, because I like to drink. Yeah, I didn't really spin in that world, it was, Long Island. Yeah, it was, and I spent a lot of time working, to be honest. Working was my father took me to work a lot, and, Bob actually, Betty said the other day, he said, you talk a lot about these jobs you had, and you never talk about high school. And she really hit the nail on the head. That was my world. Coming into Queens, and the people I met were these much older characters. And, so I did some of the things you mentioned, but what you saw was really more of the world that I spun in, and that's why I choose to write it out and make this film.
Okay,
The one thing, was unsure of the product. He had to really feel it and be more like than something he had. So where you get to bid like, when I was some of the music, jackets, and indication that he doesn't have another fight.
Thank you. I think he was also a little scared straight in that experience as well. Yeah. Let me throw a question to the young Michael. There's a lot of dramatic scenes in that film, but personally, was there one that you enjoyed shooting more than the others that kind of sticks with you? The bar scenes, driving, the office?
That's a tough question. I would say the most enjoyable scene that I had was when Jake and I had that sort of confrontation at the car. And he's yelling at me and I'm saying no. I thought that was sort of a turning point in the movie. And, my character is sort of, growing up and he's developing and finally, sticking up for himself and saying, no, I don't want to, I'm not going to drive the city. Eventually he gets it back down because there's no other real alternative. But I like that scene. We shot that scene a bunch of times and I think, after a while, I'm just gonna, it was pretty difficult at first because I didn't really know what direction I wanted to take it. But after doing the tape, a bunch of times, it really got ingrained into my character, and I thought that was, one of the most important things in the movie. So I enjoyed it most as well.
Thank you. It's almost as if that scene was the coming of age moment, if there was one. And so it's interesting that that's the one I think most memorable for you. Thanks. Question right here in the front.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
He's right here. Please stand up. We'll take a question for the Viper, and then we'll begin the transition outside. So I'll give you the mic.
Great. Thank you.
Just always impressed when somebody has read a scene that is so high tension that somebody that is emotion, that is very funny.
That's,
Very funny.
I appreciate you noticing that. I wasn't aware of it, but I think in the writing, it's inherent in the writing, which I think we gravitate to. It's interesting. I was super pleasantly surprised when I got on the set. I know Jesse, we worked together in a play, so we have a connection. And I'll just be honest, when I first got the opportunity to audition and I sent the tape in, I was beginning not to be interested in the project, if you remember. And as I think back tonight, as I was watching it, I was playing my father, basically. I think we talked a little bit about my dad came from India. He was a manufacturing engineer in 1975 in Fort Wayne, Indiana. So I think there's something to the fact that as I read it, it was the perfect role for me. And I think I was a little bit daunted by it as I kind of unwind that moment. And also, I was playing my father, but the explosive part of him that he could never show. Because, I know him as an introvert working in that manufacturing environment in 1975, and probably not really being able to express himself quite like you guys gave me the opportunity to. So I think all of that together initially made me probably fear playing the role, and then I did a really, really smart thing through the persuasion of Mike and Jesse to take the role, and I'm so glad I did. It was a wonderful experience, and great to work with this whole cast, and the writing's really, back to your question, like, I love doing comedy, and Mike wrote that scene in a way that if I hit the right notes and David and I hit the right notes, it would be funny, and that's what happened.
that scene, as energized as it was, that scene, they shot at least 4 or 5 times, 6 times. So that kind of energy, and each time he summoned that energy, as did David.
Just one quick anecdote about that scene. As the light was getting psyched up to do the scene, maybe the 4th or 5th take, and I just walked over to give him like a word of encouragement. And he was tense. And he just said, "I'm gonna take him down." I got him. It was beautiful, beautiful, absolutely beautiful.
Okay, one last pressing question? Is got the back corner? I will take those 2. Go ahead. Yes, sir.
Responsible for this related in your book. And I think referred to the short story. Is that published or available?
That's the short story.
It's in a collection of short stories that I wrote called Loud Whispers, and you can get that on Amazon. Right here.
Yes.
How difficult, Michael, is it to see your life played out on the screen? What kind of emotions does it
Thank you, Kathy. That's Kathy, my sister. I think it's really healthy. It's cathartic, and it helps you understand like who you are, where you came from, especially after a time frame, decades. You know, it sort of reinforces these good parts of your life, these interesting parts of your life, and I think that's really a true value of writing. That through writing, you can re-explore parts of your life at different times and look at them from a different perspective. And this to me is the great part about writing. So I have no problem doing it. Sometimes it's a little painful. As long as you're honest, I think it's extremely good.
Okay, just before we exit to the post-screening party, a couple of things. You'll see the actors. Jules Assout is back there. We've got a bartender role. We have the lunchtime boys are here. Abraham is right here. So there's many of us around to ask questions. Also, you heard throughout the Q&A a lot about how much the actors enjoy working with the crew, with the other actors. That shouldn't go unnoticed because what I understand from the pros, that's rare. But I think it's a tribute to Michael and to Robert to create that kind of energy. So it's almost ensuring that no matter what happens, this film is going to be a success because people enjoyed what they were doing. So I think there's a little takeaway message there. When we enjoy what we're doing, it's going to be a success. And that's something we shouldn't lose sight of. So please enjoy what you're doing. Don't be shy. Be alive. And Mike sits up here like his whole life's been in the film and writing industry. I know him long before that. And he wasn't shy. He felt the voice inside of him. He felt the story that to be told with no experience in this industry, but the support of the people who had it, he followed his truth. And we wouldn't be sitting here tonight if he hadn't. So I know Mike would want me to invite all of you to do the same thing. There's a takeaway as well. Follow your truth. And if it's your truth, you'll enjoy it, you'll be enthusiastic, and it'll be a success. So thank you to the cast, crew, all of you, and we'll look forward to seeing you outside.
Pardon me?